How can you write, build and run an Android application in around 2 minutes? Well, believe it or not, it is possible. So for this, I'm going to use the RawDraw Android project, which was written by the author to enable people to quickly and easily create Android apps and run them in C code. Basically, there's a few prerequisites you need to do this. So first of all, you're going to need the code for the project. Then you need to set up your development environment for either a Linux-based system or Windows, and there's instructions on how to do that in the README for this project. Basically, you type a few commands into the command line, which installs the Android Studio SDK, and you type make run to compile and run the application on an Android device. And I'm using the Windows subsystem for Linux for this. Literally, you just type make run. And you see it only takes about half a second. So before we show it on the device, let's have a little look at the code. So supplied in this project is a test.c file, which basically has a whole bunch of code that draws loads of stuff to the screen, interacts with various services. So, for example, the accelerometer on the phone, but we're not really interested in doing all that. We just want to write some text to the screen. So this is the main function that I've created. This is essentially all the code to start up the application and write to the screen. So let's have a look at what we're doing here. So first of all, it sets up the screen and then enters a loop which just waits for input. Now there's no actual kind of input in this application, but it's just a loop that then writes stuff to the screen, draws stuff to the screen. So sets up the background color to a white, clears the frame, sets the foreground color to a sort of blue color, sets the drawing where it's going to draw on the screen on the X and Y axis to the top left hand corner, the first pixel on the screen, sets the line width and draws some text to say hello world, and that's just the how big it's going to draw it on the screen. And then it empties a buffer and draws to the screen basically. So it's a really simple application, and let's run it. First thing I'm going to do is plug in my Android device here. I should say you need to be have USB debugging enabled. It's very simple to do that. You can Google that, and it takes a few seconds to enable USB debugging on your device. And literally, I'm just going to type make run in there, and it's compiling all the code and deployed onto the device in under half a second. And there you go, you can see it says hello world in a kind of slightly funky font at the top of the screen, and that's our Android app built and run. So it really is as simple as that, and just to prove that it is actually working live on the device, let's just change it to say hello everyone, and we'll go back to the command line again, make run, it will compile the program and it'll deploy onto the device again. Generally it takes sort of a second or so to deploy onto the device, which is pretty quick compared to a lot of other platforms for building mobile apps. So there we go, hello everyone, there's our Android app. So yeah, maybe it took a little bit longer than 2 minutes, but I hope you stuck with me for this. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it, that you can just, you don't need a whole load of stuff to build an Android app. And yeah, it might be quite an interesting thing to play around with. So anyway, there you go.